I was basically shoplifting more than half of my meals. I was squatting on a friend's floor. It's actually quite hard to talk about all this shit. um, do I have an OnlyFans? I'm sorry to disappoint you, but welcome to the present tense unwrapping of my life. So, I apologize for leading you on like that, but I did want to make the overdramatic and don't worry, nothing sexy is gonna come here and well, hopefully, but really I am angling to become a masturbator. And if the puns are too hard to swallow, tell me where's the line at, and I'll happily get off to the reel. I hope I did at least reward you for whatever reasons you clicked for. Now, the thing is, if I'm quite blatantly honest, as a man, I don't feel like it is the same thing. So I feel like I would make much less money on OnlyFans and or have to do much weirder things. And it would ruin my personal and career life just as much as a woman without, I don't know, the the ease of success for that brief period. It's kind of like male sports, you know. Sure, you can become a professional sportswoman, but like you're also only going to have a brief career that doesn't pay you anything. And let me assure you, I could not be made to feel like more of a piece of shit than I already am. But just in case that's not enough, you know, you never know if I could catch some flaws' attention. I kid too much. But I'm gonna fill up an electric kettle probably in the next video. Check out for that. Let's see who wins. Electric kettle versus honey. So a sketchy comparison is what's being drawn on here. And if you've been paying attention thus far, the sale is being made. And I thank you for engaging with my private parts. From the personal side of the introduction, I am about 30 and currently residing again in Johannesburg, where I was born. I've got a passion for philosophy, a technically bipolar 1 with psychotic tendency diagnosis, a ruminative OCD.
How is everything?
Everything is super good. Not with me. I got a lot of problems nobody else has.
Possible dissociative identity disorder, depending on who you're talking to. Hey! Did he just assume my identity? Shh! We're in public now. But you don't turn out to be this funny with some help from the outside world. So if we could refresh. I've won 4 out of 6 mugging attempts, which includes possibly winning a fight to the death. Well, I definitely won. I'd been through 5 school transitions before I was in 7th grade across 3 provinces. My father committed in my final year of school, just before my final exams when I was 18. My only sister died about 7 years ago, killed by a drunk driver. We were very close though, and I bought our first banky weed when I was 12 in a taxi rank in Mafeking. Also, I am Afrikaans, by the way. That's the white folk you might have heard from recently in the news. I'm actually Afrikaans. Eindelijk is Afrikaans my moedertaal. That is to say, English is technically my second language, and I'm backgrounded and somewhat informed in linguistics and psychology to a relative degree. And I've got most of my experience in teaching and AI training. I actually hope to go into education with the bigger part of my career after these channel things. I love literature, language, philosophy, psychology, music, film, and essentially narrative, expression, and their mutual relations. I've got a lot of lists. I've got a lot of particular opinions about a lot of things, though I am mostly not invested in the weight of any of these opinions, but it frustrates people. I plan to run this channel basically for the next 4 or so years. You know, people are going to be turning 30 all the time. Welcome to my navigation of undoubtedly the hardest and most important period of my life. I'm quite literally taking the first steps here by putting this out there. But bluntly, you're still the sub there.
And I'm just happy to not be that person anymore.
Yeah.
And so's my wife. Thank you for letting me do this.
Anyone
That's all I have
else
to share
who'd
right
like
now.
to share with us today?
Shut up!
What do you value? And I mean deeply here. Those things at the very core of you. And there should be a few. These factors that form the foundation of who we are. There is no context wherein you can't imagine yourself living up to them. Or where not living up to them would essentially also mean not living up to who you are. Or at least who you thought you'd ever become. Now, before we get too deep here, what exactly did you click on? So this is an old side project of mine that I'm looking to reboot. It's not just a hook, it's a disclaimer and an intrusive thought, if you will. So this is a space that I'm going to look at being constructive in a creative way. Try and exhibit how I got my shit together, because I'm very, very, very much good. So basically the idea is to just first get abused to being myself in this space and with you watching. Still good. So back to the story. I was 29 and at the time I'd been unemployed for about 18 months. And my wife, my 5-year-old daughter and I had been evicted from our home about a year before. My daughter had to move in with my mother-in-law, and I moved into a spare bedroom of a friend's house and literally slept on the floor for months. My wife oscillated between some nights a week with my daughter and some nights a week with me, given that she was also pregnant and expecting our second child. The blankets on the floor were not exactly the most pragmatic of solutions. Productivity is quite challenging, especially if you're hurdling in the factors of personal life, normal socioeconomic life, the just destruction of anybody's 20s in the modern age, especially with COVID factoring into the dead center of it and unplanned kids. So eventually desperation meets despondency and one is forced to capitalize on the cartoonish absurdity of necessity. Sorry for the pompous wording there, but I'm a linguist, so I dissociate into my phrasing. I was basically shoplifting more than half of my meals. I was squatting on a friend's floor. It's actually quite hard to talk about all this shit. I had an active warrant out for my arrest, which I was just actively avoiding. I had no ID, no phone, a very dodgy computer that flatlined when you plugged out of power, which is a great coupling with our state-controlled electricity. So when I say I hit rock bottom, I mean I choked slammed it. I was ready to consider just about any possible route to having the means to change even the smallest bit of my circumstances. Okay, so I mentioned how this will kind of also serve as a reintroduction of a new direction for myself and the channel. So unfortunately at this stage of the story I do need to just interrupt things to elaborate a bit more on what I mean by that. Basically this one will be for the OnlyFans. But unfortunately I might disappoint you in terms of that time of my life I was describing above was actually my present tense, and it was now. It was now, and it was now. It's Wednesday, the 1st of October. I am 29, and my second daughter is being delivered in less than 48 hours. Do I have an OnlyFans? That was so much harder than I thought it would be. I've slept about 3 hours since Sunday. As I mentioned, it's Wednesday now, so that's about 3 hours in like 3 nights, 4 days. Oh, I'm so not ready for what's coming. But in a weird way, what I'm doing with this is actually kind of trying to manifest a publicity, a publicness to my words and what my intentions are. I've always had big dreams, and I think I'm actually capable of quite a lot. And I'd like to stop wheel spinning and put it all together. And ironically, I've always been avoiding it because I haven't felt ready. And now I'm less ready than I've ever should have been. And this is the most crucial and definitive challenge to be met. I do guarantee that I will be something unique. And as I mentioned, this is for the OnlyFans. It's more of a Easter egg to look back on when I hopefully get out of this and have normal, casual, seemingly structured thoughts and content and productions and occupations and careers and family life. Because I think a lot of the time we talk from the other side of it, where it's already solved, and quite honestly, I can't imagine that. I can't imagine that. So if I'm on that side, looking back here, I don't think I'm going to be able to imagine the sheer scale and depth of the suffering to date. Maybe in a weird way, that's what I'm holding on to. The shackles of suffering. I'm ready to let go. And I'm ready to put it out there that I'm going to try now. Eintlik is Afrikaans my moedertaal.